We have with us through Zoom Associate Professor of the UP College of Mass Communication, Professor Danny Araw. Good morning po, Sir Danny. I think, sir, you're
Hello,
on
good
mute, sir.
Yes, I forgot. Sorry about that.
It's okay,
Good
sir.
morning. Yes, good morning, George, and thank you for having me. By the way, the new name of our college is now the College of Media and Communication. Salamat.
UP College of Media and Communication. Thank you so much for that correction, Sir Danny. No? So, sir, unahin na natin, kasi ayon sa saligang batas, dapat bang may papel pa yung Kamara, no? Matapos nilang aprobahan yung articles of impeachment at ma-transmit ito sa Senado?
It's like this. If we look at the Constitution and if we look at processes, remanding or returning or whatever you call that to the House of Representatives, the articles of impeachment, reflect, a lack of collegiality between the two chambers. So I think it's wrong for the Senate, for that matter, or at least the 18 who voted for that particular action to do such thing. Kung tanong mo ay ano ang magiging trabaho ng Kamara, ang trabaho ng Kamara ay mag-serve bilang prosecution, kaya nga may pinadala sila na prosecution team at may in-identify na sila at maging sa pagtawid. Sa 20th Congress, there's now, a different set of, or at least there is some overlapping of the previous ones and the entry of new ones, the newly elected ones. So dapat ganon yung inaasahan ng mga tao. Alam mo, Gerge, hindi naman kailangang maging eksperto tayo sa abogasya at hindi naman tayo dapat maging abogado para makita yung irregularidad ng prosesong nangyari. At tama lang na makriticize natin yung 18 na mga senador na nanindigan na tama di umano yung ginawa nila.
And you're saying that this is highly irregular, ano? Anong dapat na, well, nakita niyo po yung action ng House of Representatives. They deferred accepting the articles of impeachment, ano? Parang nag-resist sila doon sa remand na order ng impeachment court. So what do you think?
Yeah, they deferred acceptance, but at the same time, they issued a resolution that somehow fulfills the wishes of the Senate that there is regularity and that there is constitutionality with regard to the filing and that there is no violation of the 1-year ban. So it is now up to the Senate to ensure that there will be no further delays. Kasi kahapon, I'm sure you're aware of this, and everybody is aware of the fact that the presentation of the prosecution has been postponed or canceled. Canceled, I think was the word used.
Sir, moot. Oo.
Yeah, it was rendered moot. So we don't know when it will happen, but we hope that it will happen as soon as possible. Today is June 12, apparently a holiday. Hopefully by Friday the 13th tomorrow, there will be some progress.
But sir, sinid din na ang Kongreso. Paano kaya yun, sir? Pwede pa bang i-convene ang impeachment court knowing na naka-recess na, on break na ang Senado? O adjourn na?
There can be, that's a good question. Again, you don't need to be a lawyer to decide to infer that this is possible and it's up to the Senate to do such a thing. There can be either special sessions done, and the other school of thought that's being floated is that the impeachment process is something that's different from the legislative process na talagang kailangan medyo stricto sa usapin ng kalendaryo. So it can still be done kasi it's not as if we are closing down or shutting down the entire Congress until the 20th Congress comes in. So yung mga valedictory speeches niya, these are mainly ceremonial. It doesn't mean tapos na yung termino nila.
Oo. So ibig niyo pong sabihin, kung gugustuhin ng Senado, pwede pa niyang i-convene ang impeachment court. Is that what you mean, sir?
Yes, that's what I mean. And even granting lang for the sake of argument that that majority of the lawyers would object to it. Again, the Senate has that particular option to serve the will of the people. Hindi yung tipong gagawa sila ng mga maniobra o yung ginagamit na termino nga ng ilang mga grupo ay palusot, di ba? Na talagang ang gagawin lang nila ay ididribble until they would drop the ball, so to speak. What we don't want is this to be reduced to just simply a visual spectacle of bantering, of heated exchanges of words. We don't want sensationalism of the issue. And of course, ang pakiusap din natin sa media, since I'm an associate professor of journalism right now, is to really strengthen the culture of fact-checking. Wag lang yung factual accuracy yung tingnan natin. Mali naman talaga yung translation na sinasabi na yung fourth quid ay hindi nangangahulugan ng agad. It's just simply looking at the Filipino translation to make such a conclusion or fact check. Pero kailangan ding suriin at i-fact check yung ilang mga tindig ng ilang mga senador. Halimbawa, sinasabi hindi raw nakakain yung impeachment. I mean, that's very, very misleading and that's very, very irresponsible for someone to say that, or the fact that hindi lang sila ang taong bayan, dapat kami pakinggan din dahil taong bayan din kami. I mean, those things would need to be properly ventilated, and the media are in a position to make such assertions and such analysis. It's good that the media are making round-the-clock coverage, but aside from that, we have to deepen the analysis so that we can create a critical mass of audiences.
Okay. Now, sir, sa opinion niyo po, sa tingin niyo ba may pananagutan yung mga senador na bumoto pabor sa remand? Kung sakaling mapatunayan na mali nga ito at kung may magre-raise nito sa Korte Suprema?
Malaki talaga ang kanilang pananagutan at pati na rin yung kanilang pagkukulang. Kumbaga, ito ay malinaw na pagtataksil, for lack of a better word, doon sa kanilang sinumpaang tungkulin, which is ironic kasi kasusumpa pa lang nila pero hindi nila sinundan yung tamang proseso. And in fact, for someone to make a motion to say that I move for the outright dismissal or the dismissal of the complaint without the benefit of hearing, dapat talaga ma-fact check ito ng mabuti ng media at ma-call out. Kasi malinaw naman yung kamalian nito. Some people say that journalists should exercise cold neutrality, but in this particular case, the cold neutrality should not be at the expense of factual and contextual accuracy. Doon tayo sa totoo at doon tayo sa tama, even if we end up speaking truth to power and calling out those who are even power tripping.
And that's the role of the media as third estate, sir. Now anyway, pinag-uusapan po, sir, yung potentially magkaroon ng constitutional crisis, no? Knowing na magkaiba yung interpretation ng House at ng Senate sa iba't ibang konsepto within impeachment. What do you think, sir? Ano bang mga dapat nating abangan dito? And idagdag ko na lang din, sir, especially now na meron pa rin namang mga pending na mga motion or hiling sa Korte Suprema hinggil sa constitutionality na ginawa in relation to impeachment. Itong kay VP Sara, sir, they are questioning whether pwede ba yung ginawa na yung fourth complaint, no? Na yung may 1-year ban ng filing ng impeachment. What do you think? How will this siguro play around pagdating sa usaping impeachment, sir?
Okay, two things. First, the Supreme Court should really step in and try their best to expedite the process, even if they have their own schedule to keep. Number two, public pressure is also key here, and we have to sustain the efforts to really ventilate issues through mass mobilizations, through rallies. Walang masama kung magrarally ka sa ganitong klaseng panahon. At pangatlo, I don't want to sound like a broken record here. Let me just stress that the media have a key role in terms of the shaping of public opinion. Kailangang malinaw yung paninindigan ng media. I mean, wag sana nating isipin na kinokompromiso natin yung neutrality o yung cold neutrality na inaasahan kasi sa isang sitwasyon na talagang may malinaw na mali, dapat kino-call out talaga yung mali. And we have to help in deepening the analysis and not just making it into a descriptive spectacle where we want to just focus on two senators almost coming to blows because of the tension. Kumbaga, yung mga tension na yan, pwede namang i-report, pero i-focus natin yung substantive issues. Yung mga sinasabi nila, yung mga hindi sinasabi, at ano nga ba talaga yung playbook, lalo na ng kampo ng mga Duterte.
Sir, let's go first to your first point. Nasabi mo that the Supreme Court should expedite the process. Kasi number one, dahil nga may mga hiling sa Supreme Court, kahit na mag-proceed itong impeachment at matapos natin on time, Pero pag nagdesisyon ng Supreme Court na hindi pabor doon, that could cause a lot of problem, ano po?
Mm.
Oo.
Yeah, you're right. It can go either way. The Supreme Court may rule in favor of the Duterte camp or it may rule not in favor of it. But the bottom line is that it should step in given that petitions have been filed and that these are technically actionable petitions. In fact, I can even argue that the recent filing of a group of lawyers asking the Senate to stop the impeachment trial, no matter how laughable it may be, should still be heard. Kasi that's what we call due process. And much as the Supreme Court is far from perfect in terms of coming up with pro-people decisions, we have to wait for it and hope that they expedite the decision. But it is related to my second point regarding public pressure.
Correct.
It doesn't prevent the people from, criticizing. If ever, I don't want to preempt the Supreme Court's decision, but criticism can also come in, and there can also be widespread praise or widespread condemnation, depending on how the Supreme Court will decide on it. But of course, they're not playing to the crowd or they're not playing to that proverbial camera, so to speak. We have to stand by what is right. And the right thing to do is to proceed with the impeachment trial so that all voices can be heard, both the prosecution and the defense. Ganun lang naman kasimple yung ating panawagan dito.
Oo. And sir, pag-usapan natin itong messaging. In terms of messaging, dahil pinag-aaralan niyo po ito, si VP Sara, sa simula pa lang, sinasabi niya na she's ready to face the impeachment court and clean her name. Sabi nga niya, she's ready for a bloodbath. No? But her allies sa Senado, iba yung sinasabi. What do you think, sir? Anong interpretation niyo dito?
Yeah, there are mixed signals apparently, but the bottom line is that they don't want the trial to proceed because, again, you don't need to be an expert in law to establish the fact that once certain information gets opened up, particularly the joint bank account in a certain bank in Makati, decipher certain patterns, lalo na kung maisapubliko yan at mahawakan ng mga senator judges natin. So yun yung iniiwasan talaga nila. So of course, we have to distinguish between the playbook that's being adopted, which we can infer based on the motions that were raised by certain allies of the Duterte camp, but at the same time, we can also see through the empty rhetoric of a bloodbath, of being ready, of wishing to proceed with the trial, because, I don't want to be too blunt about it, but we know that politicians lie all the time, or many politicians lie all the time. So we have to see through such empty rhetoric.
Sir, yung binabanggit nyo bang bank account kanina, ito ba yung in-expose ni former Senator Trillanes?
Yes.
Okay. All right, but that's
yes.
That's in Ortigas yata, sir. But ano ba yung nalalaman dun, sir? Ano ba yung kinalaman nitong bank account na ito in terms of the impeachment, sir?
Well, we can try to establish certain patterns, whether or not these have to do with where the confidential funds really came in, as to whether the misuse and abuse of state resources can be traced to the direct deposit to certain accounts. Yes, I apologize for mentioning Makati. It turned out to be Ortigas. But nevertheless, the bottom line is whether the banks are in Makati or in Ortigas or everywhere or whatever part of the country will be, we have to make certain facts. We have to establish certain discernments as to how funds moved around. Because the perception of many people is that the funds did not act. For example, for confidential and intelligence funds, it may not have been spent correctly, and that it ended up in certain pockets, or in this particular case, certain bank accounts, whether in Makati or Ortigas or wherever.
Oo, and sir, historically, talagang itong mga bank accounts na pinag-uusapan kapag may impeachment, nagiging vital yung role niya sa tinatakbo ng mga impeachment. We've seen that in the past, kay former President Estrada, kay former Chief Justice Corona, And doon din nagkakaroon ng binabanggit mo, yung public pressure, yung galit ng publiko, kapag napag-uusapan yung usaping pera at bank account ng mga opisyal na ito? Ano po?
Yeah, you're correct. So that's why there should not be a repeat of the non-opening of the second envelope, reminiscent of the Estrada impeachment trial. And we have to remember what happened as a result of the walkout of the prosecutors. Then, nagkaroon tayo ng ikalawang people power. Now, I don't want to sound like an alarmist here, but that's how grave or that's how volatile and that's how toxic the political situation is right now. Personally, I have to admit, Gerge, I sometimes would want to tune out of the news, no offense to Billionaire News Channel,
Yes, sir.
because of what's happening right now. But you have to, because these are very, very important matters.
And now, sir, pinag-uusapan kasi, syempre, kung sa usapin ng media, no, social media, etc., syempre yung mga supporters ni VP Sara, ang kiniklaim naman nila sa ngayon is that, bakit puro confidential fund ni VP Sara pinag-uusapan natin? Why not talk about the confidential funds of the President and other issues, PhilHealth, the GAA, etc., na potentially these are also issues ng corruption. And kung ano man ito, mas malaki yung amount niya. So, how do we look at that, sir?
Well, we can look at it this way. We can single out for now that particular issue with the Office of the Vice President and the DepEd funds, misuse of funds, alleged misuse of funds, and then focus on other issues. I mean, just because you are impeaching the second highest official of the land, it doesn't mean that the highest official of the land, or in this case, the President, will go scot-free in the near future. So that's why we have to stress the obvious, that focusing on a particular camp doesn't mean that the others are less culpable or that the others will not be reached by the long arm of the law. We hope to sustain the public pressure so that change can happen for the better and that the people's money will be wisely spent by all government agencies and by all elected and appointed officials.
Kumbaga, the accountability ay para sa lahat. Ano po. But anyway, binabanggit na po kanina yung usapin ng impeachment dating Pangulong Erap. Ano po. And talking about the impeachment court, before, he has the numbers in the Senate, but yung binabanggit niyo yung pag-open ng second envelope, no? Kung naaalala lang ng ating publiko, I hope yung mga kabataan, they could research about that as well. Kasi that was very controversial, ano? Siyempre maraming bumaligtad, sir. Maraming pangyayari sa loob ng Senado. So, do you think this will happen again with the vote dito sa remand, 518? Sa tingin mo ba, potentially, baka ganito ulit ang mangyayari?
Yes, some senators, to be fair, may be able to see the light of day. I mean, our expectation, the collective expectation is that the opposition in the Senate, out of 23, there are only 2, right? And then, of course, people are focused on 18, so that's fine. But I would rather look at something positive wherein the 2 became 5. So that's a more than 100% increase. Of course, mukhang abaw itong ganitong pagsusuri, but you know, hope springs eternal, and of course, the impossible can also happen because that's what politics is. Politics is basically having strange bedfellows, right, in your midst. So those things can happen, and you know, the villains can end up being heroes, and sometimes heroes can end up being villains, and sometimes the villains will end up becoming even worse villains than they are. So those things can happen. So yes, the quick answer there is those things are still possible.
Okay. Now, siguro panghuli na lang, Professor Aro, ano po, sa mga susunod na araw, what should we expect sa Senate, sa House, at sa publiko na rin in general?
I think the rallies will have to be sustained and in very big numbers, hopefully to the point where we can fill up the entire streets leading to the Philippine Senate. So we hope to make it a habit to be there. So to the students out there, since I'm a faculty member, there are opportunities to learn beyond the four walls of the classroom, and this is a good opportunity to know not just the right translation of forthwith or the meaning of remand or dismiss, but also the full grammar of mass action and the vocabulary of militant agitation. Because agitation is something that we have to clearly process, because while emotions are high, we can, elevate it to a higher level of discourse by being critical of things around us. So going back to the role of the media, it is imperative for Billionario News Channel and other networks to really critically analyze the issues, not just the factual accuracy, but the contextual accuracy. Fact-checking is very, very good right now, but we can still sustain it to the point where we will normalize fact-checking and speak truth to power if necessary.
Sir, yung social media, sir, how will this play into the things that are happening now?
Okay, the network of disinformation, we expect it to really be in full throttle, so to speak. Remember, Gerge, on March 11, there was a lot of disinformation going on to the point where people got confused as to whether or not there was a TRO that was filed by the Supreme Court. So we expect this information to happen. And regarding fact-checking, I think it's also appropriate to call on the public to really do their own fact-checking and not be enablers or instruments of disinformation. Yes, we will be trolled. Yes, we will be cyberbullied and bashed online, but we have to fight for the truth. In the same way that we have certain senators engaged not just in trolling, but also in what we call silayuning. So I guess that's the assignment of our students for today. Please research on what I mean by silayuning, and you would know what I mean.
Sige sir, i-research ko rin yan. But anyway, thank you very much. Exciting days ahead sa Pilipinas. Thank you very much, Professor Danny Arao.
Thank you.
The issue over impeachment has once again exposed the fault lines of political principle in Philippine democracy. As the chambers of Congress clash and the public watches with uncertainty, the road ahead remains shrouded in political fog. What happens next will not only test institutions, but will define them. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news, always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for an up-close personal take on attorney Buko de la Cruz and his wife. On behalf of Attorney Karen Jimeno, this is George Quiles. Thank you for spending your hour with us.